Hello and welcome to Educated STEM. I am Kate, the founder of Educated STEM, and today we're going to continue the series on academic job search and application. And we're going to get stuck into the thing that confuses me more than anything else, which is how do you classify higher education institutions in North America? So I am English, so I don't know if you get taught this stuff in high school. When you go to colleges, they demystify this, but it's a little bit confusing. But there are 4 different things that you can look at to help you decide which kind of institution you want to apply for. And it does depend on your goals. So do you want to focus more on research? Do you want to do primarily teaching? Do you want a bit of both? That will definitely help you figure out where you're going to apply for. And so this video is going to focus on the Ivies. So what is the Ivy League and what are the kind of subcategories of Ivies that I have discovered? And also the Carnegie classifications, which I think are far easier to understand and are actually reviewed every few years. So it's up-to-date information. You might also want to consider getting information from the US News and World Report on the different schools and their standings, and also the Times Higher Education University rankings. The last 2, you might want to look at how they decide and how they rank those institutions, because it does lead into whether graduates from those schools are responding to questions and other things. So it's not necessarily just on these schools have this amazing graduation rate, the people who move on have a good chance of being employed and other things that you can kind of put data on. They're actually reaching out to graduates and asking them questions and things. So if you have a large school and a lot of people answer, then you are going to be higher up in the rankings than if you are a smaller school and you don't have as great a turnout. So first things first, let's get stuck into the Ivy League classifications. And my first knowledge of this was obviously watching American TV shows and movies where they talk about the Ivy League. And I just thought that was the best of the best universities across America. And boy, how wrong am I? So it actually only includes 8 private research universities, which are only in the northeastern United States, so only a small area of the country. And so it was founded in 1954 because these 8 universities wanted to have their own athletic conference, and their Division 1 athletics, which is the top hierarchy of all athletics, which explains why there's an awful lot of good schools in that area, but they aren't in the Ivy League because they aren't the top at different sports. So that's why they're not included. So 8 schools got together, decided they wanted to have this athletic conference, and they became the Ivy League. And so the 8 schools in alphabetical order are Brown University, Columbia University, Cornell University, Dartmouth College, Harvard University, Princeton, the University of Pennsylvania, and Yale University. And so for me, it feels a bit weird that these 8 schools just said, we're starting this thing. Admittedly, it was for sports originally, but now the Ivy League, this is the best of the best. And they put themselves there, but okay, that's fine. That's only 8 schools. So what about the rest of America? Now there are various other Ivy classifications, which include other schools. So I'm going to take you through these other classifications. I'm not going to mention every single school and university on here. You can get that by downloading my document that I wrote on Patreon. It's going to cost you $3, but for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can have my synopsis of how to apply for an academic job. And so there is now something called Ivy Plus. This includes the original 8 Ivies, but it also includes Stanford, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, the University of Chicago and Duke. It often also includes Northwestern University, Johns Hopkins, and California Institute of Technology, or Caltech. But that's still not covering a whole bunch of America. Yes, it's included more, but there's still an awful lot of schools that I would consider excellent which aren't included in here. Now, historically, because the Northeastern schools formed the Ivy League, there were 10 Southern schools who decided that they wanted their own sports league, which they were going to call the Magnolia Conference. So whilst this league never really took off, these 10 schools are often referred to as the Southern Ivies. So these are Davidson College, Duke University, Emory University, Rice University, Southern Methodist University, Tulane University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, the University of Texas at Austin, the University of Virginia, Vanderbilt University, Wake Forest University, and the College of William and Mary. There's also a list known as the Public Ivy League, which is comprised of universities across the whole of America that are funded by the government. So this means that they're cheaper to attend and have a higher acceptance rate. So originally this only had 8 schools in, but it has increased to include an awful lot more. I'm not going to read the entire list. A good thing to note is that the University of California system is included, which means that 8 universities are included into this list rather than just one. So the UC system includes UC Los Angeles or UCLA, UC Berkeley, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego, UC Davis, UC Riverside, and UC Santa Cruz. And now, in 2006, Newsweek actually made a brand new classification called the New Ivies, which is a blend of both public and private schools, which rank highly in both academics and faculty. And so all of the schools in the public Ivy League are included in the New Ivies, and also some from a list which is called the Hidden Ivies, which I haven't mentioned yet. So what are the Hidden Ivies? So this is actually 63 small liberal arts colleges and some large research universities. Some of them are exceptional and prestigious, so you would expect them to be on this list, but there are some surprises that I have never really heard of. But again, it could also be because I'm English and wasn't brought up to think about these schools. There are other classifications. So you have the Little Ivies, and so these are smaller institutions. And we also have religious schools. So you've got the Jesuit Ivies. And if you're unfamiliar, a Jesuit is a society of Jesus within the Catholic Church. So if you want a faith-based institution, the Jesuit Ivies may be a good place to look at. And then finally, you have the Black Ivies. So this is a historically serving Black community. So those are Dillard University, Fisk University, Hampton University, Howard University, Morehouse College, Spelman College, and Tuskegee University. And then you also have a group of colleges referred to as the Seven Sisters. And this is because most Ivy League schools at the time excluded women. And so now some of these schools have either been absorbed into larger institutions or they now accept both men and women. So again, download the document and have a look what the Seven Sisters are. Now, the thing about the Ivies is someone has written a document and has put them in, and it doesn't really get reviewed. The Carnegie classifications, however, do get reviewed every few years. So it was written in 1973 when they decided to kind of group different institutions together and just kind of have this big list of them. And it takes information that each institution reports to different sources when they actually review them. So it takes information from something called Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System. We call that IPEDS, the National Science Foundation Higher Education Research and Development, and also the NSF survey of graduate students and postdoctorates in science and engineering. So they're actually getting data that is given out to all of these very important places and using that to compile this list. So I really like the Carnegie classifications. It's going to be reviewed anywhere between every 4 to 10 years. The information was put together in 2021 that is currently on the website. It's going to be updated in 2025. So I would definitely recommend you look at these. So it breaks the different places down into doctoral universities, master's colleges and universities, baccalaureate colleges, baccalaureate and associates colleges, special focus institutions, and tribal colleges and universities. So it's got currently, as of today, 3,624 institutions on there. And then each of these different categories is then subdivided. So for instance, a doctoral university has an R1 designation, which is called Very High Research Activity. And we have R2, which is High Research Activity. So what is the difference between those? Currently for an R1, you've got places like Caltech, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, the University of Texas at Arlington, Austin, Dallas, El Paso, and San Antonio. The UCs at Berkeley, Davis, Irvine, LA, Riverside, San Diego, Santa Barbara, Santa Cruz. Got the University of Pennsylvania. In comparison, an R2, and some of these universities are still very, very large and prestigious. You've got a lot of the Cal State universities, so East Bay, Fresno, Fullerton, Long Beach, San Bernardino, Howard University, Lehigh University, Thomas Jefferson University, the University of Puerto Rico, and William and Mary. So those are some very prestigious universities. They also have doctoral and professional universities on the list, and some of these are also very very prestigious. One of the local ones to me would be Pepperdine University, and then the University of Hawaii at Hilo, which I'm sure is lovely to do your work at. So then we've got master's colleges and universities. This is broken down into 3 subsets, so larger programs, medium, and small. And so if you go onto the document, you can click, it will take you directly to the page and you can just search through them. Then you've got baccalaureate and associates colleges, which is then broken down into subject. So you can have arts and science focus or diverse fields. You have baccalaureate and associates colleges, which are then broken down into mixed baccalaureate and associates colleges or associates dominant. Then all the associates colleges get broken down even more with either high transfer or mixed transfer and career and technical. So that might be a place where you can get a shorter degree. And then you have special focus institutions, which are broken down again into other categories. The important thing here is that under the research institution for a 4-year, you've got places like the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Baylor College of Medicine, Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science, the Weill Medical College of Cornell University. So some really big, amazing research places that you might be interested in come lower down on the Carnegie classification. So you need to look at the appropriate place. And then you've got tribal colleges and universities. So when you're looking at this, if you want to do lots of research and maybe minimal teaching, maybe you want to be looking at the R1, R2 category for a doctoral university. If you want to primarily do teaching, you might be looking at one of the master's colleges and universities, or baccalaureate and associate colleges, and kind of figuring that out. So definitely utilize all of the different tools at your fingertips. Look at the Ivy League and the different classifications of Ivies. Look at the Carnegie classifications. Look at US News and World Report and the Times Higher Education to kind of figure out what institution do you think would fit you. And then you can start looking for the job adverts for that kind of school. So I hope that helps demystify it a little bit. It is highly confusing. It's not the easiest thing to wrap your mind around. But once you figure out what school you're interested in, not necessarily because of the name recognition. Clearly, if you want to do research, maybe you want a Harvard, an MIT, a Yale. But there are other fantastic schools who are not part of the Ivy League where you could fit in really well and do some great research. So next time we are going to be looking at the actual application, what you need, what documents you need to prepare, and what's included in those documents. So please join me next time. I hope this video has helped demystify some of the classifications. And please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.